We wanted to ask you about levelling up. We just heard Boris Johnson talking about it there. Clearly going to be the focus of this conference. We're going to be expecting big, bold actions from Boris Johnson in the next few days. But what does levelling up actually mean? Because it's quite vague. Do you know?
I think that will be a major part of the conference. What do we mean by levelling up? I mean, for me, as a Conservative, I'd have that as extending opportunity to all. I'd talk about social mobility. How do we allow people to prosper? And at the same time, levelling up can also mean the infrastructure for certain areas so that people can get on. So whether that is transport, whether that is better schools, whether that's better NHS. So that's really, I think, the debate on levelling up. Yes, the infrastructure, but for me, as a Conservative, extending opportunity to all.
It's interesting because there are headlines like on the front of the Observer today saying you can't level up by raising taxes on the poor. And this is going to be the dilemma for Boris, isn't it, when he does his keynote speech on Wednesday, is how he keeps those crucial red wall voters on board whilst raising national insurance and cutting benefits.
Yeah. Well, we are and should be the party of low taxation, and I voted against those increases in national insurance sort of contribution because it affected those who are earning the least disproportionately. It also has a geographical impact. So we have to be very careful when, in this instance, a raising tax, we broke a manifesto pledge, but the implications and who it impacts the most. And at the same time, that article you were referring to, because that was the Northern Research Group, also looked at universal credit and what are we going to do with that £20 that, yes, was given as a temporary measure, but really when you apply taxes, increase taxes, you might have to keep that universal credit payment. Another thing I've said too. So we do have to be careful and we do have to stick to Conservative principles, whilst I understand that we've got to get over COVID and obviously the extra money that has been spent to support people, keeping them in jobs like furlough for the last 18 months.
Esther, what do you make of Sir Keir Starmer's calls for Parliament to be recalled? Obviously, this is a time of crisis for the country. We've got petrol forecourts, especially in London and the South East, running dry. We've got supermarket shelves that are emptying. We've got rising costs of energy. We've got a lack of CO2. It's a perfect storm out there. And all the while, we've got Conservative MPs. We've got our Prime Minister sitting up in Manchester. Is now the right time for a conference?
Well, you know, obviously there are civil servants and people also running the country and making sure that things are going smoothly. Should we stop a Tory Party conference? Well, I'm quite sure the Labour Party would want to do that. They've had theirs now. He never called for it, Tory, while he was there. So I suppose any opposition would call for that. But obviously, we have to be on heightened alert what's going on. And can I tell you, even when you're at a party conference, the Prime Minister, the top team, the ministers, the MPs are still doing things that, as I said, you have other people helping and supporting your policies coming into place. We have called Parliament back if it has been on recess, if there had have been a vote on, if you remember, sort of should we invade Syria, should we do other things? So we have called people back to Parliament. But I think in this instance, we've also talked about we don't want to cause panic in the country. And I think what Keir could be doing there is actually causing panic. And remember, there wasn't a shortage of fuel. It was actually the panic that was instilled in the public that made people panic buy. So I think here there could be starting another trigger and another sort of set of panic amongst the public.
OK, and just give us a flavour of what else we can expect. We know probably what we can get from the Prime Minister, but we'll be hearing from Priti Patel, won't we, about tougher rules on people like Insulate Britain and lots of focus on climate change ahead of COP26 as well.
Yes, Priti will be speaking on Tuesday, obviously looking at particularly with the issues raised by Sarah Everard and Wayne Couzens, you know, support for women so they feel safe in society. She'll probably be looking at sort of the immigration point system. So I think she'll be talking, I'd say, about a lot there. Rishi will be speaking on Monday. He will be looking at how do we make sure that we are living within our means, how we are responsible sort of Conservatives and not increasing taxes but living within our means. And today you've got Oliver Dowden and Liz Truss speaking. And then obviously you've got lots going on at all the fringe events. People will be talking about levelling up. People will be talking about social care. And I've got mine, which is the blue collar Conservative movement. And this is about saying no to the nanny state. If you're a Conservative, you believe in freedoms. You don't believe in a statist society. You believe in low taxes. And as I said, extending opportunities to all. So we're totally sold out. So I'm not trying to push the event here. We were sold out weeks ago because that's what Conservatives believe in, saying no to the nanny state.
Sometimes you'd forget, wouldn't you, with this current Conservative government?
Esther, I wanted to ask you about Insulate Britain.
COVID has certainly changed things, but we've got to get back to those freedoms that we believe in, freedoms for the individual. Yes.
Esther, I did want to ask you about Insulate Britain. I don't know whether you managed to hear our interview at the top of the 6 o'clock programme. We had a supporter of Insulate Britain on, and we were talking about the injunction that Grant Shapps has brought out, obviously, to stop those protesters blocking the roads around London. That obviously doesn't apply to Manchester, where the Tory Party conference is taking place. I wanted to ask you, what do you think of Insulate Britain's tactics, and are you expecting disruption up in Manchester?
I didn't actually hear that interview, so apologies for that. But do I agree with their tactics? No, I don't. You've seen the upset they have caused. You've seen the sheer scale of disruption that they have caused. People know about the issue, but they don't expect their day-to-day business being disrupted. And what they've been doing, I'd say, is just sort of anarchy and anarchists. So I don't agree with their measures. Do I expect them to come and try and disrupt other people getting on with their life, other people trying to talk about the day-to-day running of the country, other people trying to speak to the public? Well, that's what they've been doing. And remember, they must remember when they do their tactics, sitting across a motorway, stopping ambulances, getting to hospitals, stopping people getting to work. I actually think it draws away from their cause. And I just think it's the wrong way about going about things. And also, they must think about the extra pressure they are putting on the police, taking up the police's time when really they've got bigger things to be getting on with.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.